With the new player handbook, D&D Beyond is going through a lot of changes, and a lot of people are looking for alternatives. One of the best is Gsheet. It's simple and it works with the every bots. And in this video, we're gonna go over everything you need to know about it, from the basic stuff till advanced. And if you're looking for an updated version with all of the new books, make sure to stick around till the end of the video. So let's start with adding a name. In this box, all you need to do is type your character name, and that's it. Next, in this box is where you add your class, subclass, and level. All you need to do is type the class name and a space in between and then the level. If you need to add your subclass, you add it beforehand. For example, Lorebard. And if you want to multiclass, all you need to do is to repeat the process afterward. For example, Draconic, Bloodline, Sorcerer. Everything else is automatic. Your total level will be calculated depending on the levels in this box. And here's where you add your race. In this box there's a small triangle, and if you click on it, there's a drop down for all the races. In order to choose your race, you scroll down and find the race you want, or just type the starting couple letters and the drop down will shrink to the races that starts with it, and then you choose the one you want. The player name, experience, and next level is not necessary unless your DM uses experience. Next is how to add your stats. As you can see, there's multiple boxes here, but we're not going to add the stats in here because it have formulas. Instead, there's two small boxes underneath each stat, which is where we're gonna fill our stats in. The first one is for our core stats, and the second one is for any racial bonuses from feats or ASIs. And after you fill them, everything will translate to the character automatically, which is what I'm gonna skip for. Some of the old races have their bonuses automatically added, like Mountain Dwarf, for example. It automatically gives you +2. And if you want to change it using the Tasha's rules, all you need to do is just take -2 from your core stats to match out your total. Next are proficiency bonus, saves, and HP. Mostly are automatic. The HP are fixed, which is average rolls, and if there's a feat that adds to it, we're gonna talk about that later. Next, we have the skills. As mentioned above, all you need to do to gain proficiency with a skill is add 1 instead of the 0 already added in this bubble, and that gives you proficiency with it. If you want to go back to non-proficient, you type 0 instead of the 1. If you have expertise in it, all you need to do is add E instead of the 1 and 0. And there we go. For armor class, initiative, speed, proficiency bonus, saves, and HP, you don't need to do anything because these are automatic, unless you have a feature or a feat that gives you bonuses to these, or proficiency in an extra save, and that's what we're gonna talk about later. Honorable mentions: if you have an item or feature gives you advantage on a skill or initiative passively, there is boxes you can add advantage or disadvantage to give you that bonus. For example, in these boxes, all you need to type is ADV for advantage or DIS for disadvantage, and you'll get the advantage. Same for initiative, you can add ADV and it will give you advantage. Here is where you add your background, personality traits, ideals, bones, and flaws. These boxes are normal, you just type in them. For the background, if your background isn't there, we're gonna explain how to add it later. For the attacks and notes, this is where you add your weapons. All of them have drop downs and you just choose the ones you want. If the weapon you're looking for is not there, this is what we're gonna talk about later in the attack info tab. Next, we have this part. This is for passive perception, and as mentioned before, this is where you can add advantage in the small box here to give yourself the +5 from advantage if you have a feature for that, or disadvantage to take 5 from the passive. Here's where you add your tool proficiencies. The armor and weapon proficiencies are automatic, but for the other parts are mainly manual. This is where you add the languages, same thing, they have drop downs, and for the equipped items, same thing, but if you're looking for an item that's not in this list, this is what we're going to talk later in the gear info tab. Features and traits is where you add your features from class features or feats or anything. This is important because this is where you add feats that impacts the sheet. For example, if we check our HP right now is 35 and we want to add the feat tough, I'm gonna type feat column tough and it will give us +2 to each level we have. Same as fighting styles. If we type fighting style and add dueling, for example, it will give us the +2 on the damage die if we add a weapon. Another example is the resilience feats. If we want to add the feats resilience and between brackets we type wisdom, it will give us proficiency in wisdom saves. Unfortunately, it doesn't add the +1 bonus automatically, so you get to do it yourself. Another thing to take note of is the notes, which you can add by right-clicking and insert notes, which gives you a place to type notes about your feature or just copy-paste what the feature does. For example, feats resilience, it gives us proficiency in wisdom save. So for the future, if you forgot, you can just hover over it and it will let you know. And this is an example of how to organize your sheet. This is for our spellcasters. You don't type anything in here, there's a drop down, and if you're multiclassing into two casters at the same time, unfortunately you get to choose one, which is a problem in Gsheet that's still unsolvable. So we're gonna go with Bard here, and it's gonna tell you what's your spellcasting ability, your save DC, and attack bonus. For cantrips, it's really simple. You just type the name of the cantrip you want. I recommend copy pasting it because any misspelling mistakes will not work. And for adding spells, there's an extra step, which is to prepare the spell. If you're a non-caster, it's basically to know the spell. So after you add a spell, for example, your wound, after you do that, it's neither known or prepared. So if you're a non-caster, you just click one and forget about it. But if you're a prepared caster and you want to change your spells every once in a while, or you leveled up as a non-caster and you want to change a spell, you just go back to 0, or you can delete it as well. It also tells you how many spell slots you have from the levels you have access to. You can keep track of the spell slots you used in here. And for the other levels, it's the same thing where you just add the spell and make it prepared or known. This part is easy. This is for your character information and allies and organizations. This is more for you to keep track of, and character backstory. Now, these are cool because you can change the header of your sheet to change the picture on the top. You can change the color scheme, which change the font colors, and this is where you add your picture. You don't just drop it in here, you actually have to get the link. And in order to do that, you get the picture link. I'm going to show you an easy way for that. If you have the link from a website, you can just drop the link here. If you don't have that and you save the picture, you can upload to the Discord, click on the picture, right click, and copy link. And after you get the link, you can come back to this box and paste the link, and there you go. Now the additional tab is really simple. More places to add more attacks, more places to add more spells, and here you can add your resistance, immunity, and vulnerabilities. The inventory tab is mostly manual and to keep track of your items, but it will calculate for you the total weight you have. Let's say you have 20 and 20, it will show you the total on this part. And for the coins, which is unfortunately the pictures here are not that visible, but here's this one for platinum, gold, electrum, silver, and copper. The question mark tab is for info about the sheet, but let's be real, everyone is a lazy reader. So here's in the first parts of the page, you can see a lot of the basic weapons which we're going to use as an example to make other weapons similar to them. And if we scroll down, you can see a lot of the weapons. So for example, let's explain a longbow +1. The weapon name is longbow +1. You add it in the attack weapon name column, and there is explanation for each column what it does. So for the damage die, we add the damage die, and because it's a +1, the damage type is magical piercing. It depends on the weapon what type of damage it does. For the proficiency category, it's martial. It's either martial, simple, or other stuff, depends on the weapon. And for the range classification, it's either range or melee. Now if you're a monk, all you need to do is mark this with 1 like the other bubbles, and it will make the weapon as a monk weapon for you. The enchantment bonus is if your weapon is a +1, +2, or 3, and it adds a +1 to your damage and to hit roll. The bonus damage die, for example, for weapons that do extra damage, you add the die here and the damage type here. For example, if the longbow does an extra 1d8, you add the 1d8 here and magical piercing or whatever type of damage. The attack override ability, let's say you're warlock and you're using charisma, you can type charisma in here. You don't need to type the full word, you only type the first 3 letters like CHA, or for wisdom, WIS, and that's it. For the weapon properties, I recommend copying the main parts of the item to show up first in Avray, but also sometimes there is features that the Gsheet will pick up automatically. For example, some of them gives you a +2, like the belt of dwarven kind, and the Gsheet automatically picks that up and will add the +2 to your con automatically. The apply ability mode is to add dex or strength to the damage, and for example for offhand you don't click that one. Now let's take an example, flame tongue longsword, and we'll make one as a great sword. So we're gonna try to make a new one. What we're gonna do, we're gonna try to search for a great sword in here, and we're gonna copy it and modify it to work with what we want. Here's the great sword. I'm gonna select the first cell and click and hold shift to select the whole row and click on at the end of it, and then I'll just copy paste it. How to copy paste it? You either copy it from here, or you can be lazy like me and Ctrl C. Now we go to an empty row and we select the same cells and Ctrl V or paste. Now we have the base of the weapon. So what we need to do is make it a flame tongue. We're gonna edit the name, and since it's a magic weapon, we're gonna do magical slashing instead of slashing, and that weapon doesn't have bonuses, so we're only gonna add the extra damage. So for the extra damage die, we're gonna add 2d6 And for the bonus damage type, it's going to be fire. Attack ability override, let's say you're using it as warlock, we're going to type charisma. This is the description, you can copy paste it from the weapon description. And that's it for the attack info tab. Now for the gear info tab. Now this is a little bit more complicated, but once you get used to it, it gets really easy. So here we have different columns for the items, like if it's an armor or wearable item, armor class, if it's an armor, maximum dexterity modifier, like for breastplate you only get maximum of 2, the category, there's multiple categories, you can see the list here, and if it's a strength required, like plate armor or heavy armors or other items like that. Some items give disadvantage, and some items have enchantment bonus, which is like +1, +2, +3, proficiency bonus, which if the item adds proficiency bonus to something, and skill bonus if it also gives you, like the stone of good luck gives you +1 to all of your skills, same as saves if it's a ring of protection, and additional properties same as the attacks. I recommend copy pasting the item description, so if there's something that will affect the sheet will pick it up. Now let's explain a wild example. For example, belt of cloud giant strength. This item is not an armor, doesn't have maximum dexterity modifier, so everything is not required, we just leave it with a dash. Don't leave it empty, the sheet will not recognize it as an item if you leave one of these empty. Now for the description, this item changes your strength to 27. The reason we added this description because the sheet will pick this up automatically after you equip the item and will make your strength into 27. Another example we can talk about here, the Order of Silver Dragon Shield. It gives you +2 to your initiative, so we're gonna add it as a normal shield, which is by base is +2. It's a shield, the enchantment bonus is +2, so it gives you the +2, and we added the +2 bonus to initiative in the description, so the G sheet will automatically pick it up to your initiative once it's equipped. One of the most common items that player use is the ones that gives you pluses to your DC and spell attack. For example, let's take the Artificer one, over Bestool. We didn't add the enchantment bonus here because we have it in the description, so the +2 bonus will be added automatically to our saves and spell attack bonus. Now let's talk about armors. For example, plate armor. Now we have 8. What does this mean? Because plate armor gives you a base of 18 AC, this calculation is already have the 10 in it, so we only add the extra. For example, the blade's 18, the 10 is already counted, so it gives you an extra 8. And for the rest, we already explained that. Another example is Bracer of Defense. It gives you +2 to AC, and that's not an armor or anything, so we just added the AC bonus here, which also stack with anything else. Next is the race info and the class info tab. Our staff team in the study show usually keep these updated every time there's a new book with new races or classes or subclasses. And if you would like to get the updates on the G sheets or be able to play anytime you want with over 10 sessions daily, make sure to check out the study show Discord server or watch the introduction and it will be shown around here. Now to explain this page, it's basically where all the races are put in. So the first one is the race name, which is self-explanatory. The ability score increases. This is where you add your racial bonuses. If a race gives you the options for it, you can add it like this. There's a lot of examples. You can copy one of these. Natural armor class, if you have a race like Turtle or Loxodon, which gives you a set number, you can add the speed here. Some races like Hildwarp gives you an extra HP per level. That's where you add it. Resistance and immunities, languages, and for natural attacks, for example, we have the Tabaxi, the name of the attack, the dice, and the type of damage. For bonus weapon and armor proficiency, we have another example like Drow, which gives you these weapons and you can add them here to be added to your sheet and become proficient with it. And for other features and proficiencies, same as the weapons and the gear info, you can also add tools or the skills you get. For the class info tab, same as before, class name, subclass name, I recommend copy pasting. For the alternative armor class, for example, Barbarian gives you Dex and Con. This is how you add it, the hit dice, and you only need to add it on the main class. You don't need to add it on the subclasses. Same as the skills, same as the armor proficiencies, and additional multiclassing proficiencies. For the spellcasting type, it's either half caster, full caster, or third caster, or something like pact magic or things like that. And the spellcasting ability is whatever your class mainly use. For example, Artificer's Intelligence, as I mentioned before, you only add it to the main class, not the subclasses. And the speed increases, there is none yet aside from Monk, which is automatically calculated, but for other classes like Homebrew classes or Homebrew subclasses. And that's it. Make sure to subscribe for more tutorials, and if you'd like to get a lot of sessions, you can check the Study Show introduction video or join the Discord server, and you can check the playlist for our previous tutorials and future ones. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.